Those of you who know me well might think I seem a little grumpy around Christmas. I moan about donkeys and Christmas carols, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that I don't really like Christmas. And that's not true. I love Christmas. I love the incredible story of God becoming vulnerable human child, reaching down to earth in order to draw us close to him. And this coming Sunday, we've got two great Christmas services coming up, and you won't be able to invite people into our buildings here in order to share them with us. But instead, we're going to put them online, on the phone line, via email, everywhere. And I would encourage you, once you've seen those services, to share them with as many people as you can. It is true to say, though I love Christmas, that I don't like very many of our carols. The stuff which gets bunged into our nativity plays, it annoys me. Jesus wasn't born in a stable with the animals all around him. Even 2,000 years ago, they knew enough to know that it wasn't very sensible to have a baby in the middle in a room full of animals and animal poo. Joseph and Mary almost certainly stayed with some of their relatives, people they knew in Bethlehem, or parts of the family maybe that they'd never met before. But because of the census, because there were so many people gathered, family from afar, the guest room was already taken by other members of the family. And so fortunately, many homes in that place at that time had a room, it might have been a cave, but a room in the house where they kept the animals. It wasn't a separate shanty stable. The animals came in at night and there's this room for them, and so they clear out that room, they make it nice, they make it warm, and they welcome Joseph and Mary in. I'm sure it wasn't ideal, but it wasn't a dirty, smelly stable with the animals gathered around either. It wasn't a dirty shack on the back of a busy inn. It's very unlikely when Jesus was born that there was snow on snow on snow. It's simply a lie that the little Lord Jesus, no crying he makes. Let me read to you the story. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, to the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger, because there was no guest room available for them. The reason that I get grumpy about some of our carols and some nativity plays is that I think this story is incredibly important. I think it is the second most important thing that has happened since the world was created. And when we romanticize it, when we change this story, when we make it a picturesque scene of a stable with animals, when we pretend that it's something different, when we have a baby that never cries, we make this incredible story less real. We make it seem less real. We turn the amazing story of God becoming a living, breathing, crying, feeding, pooping human child into some sort of fantasy. When we add snow and donkeys and innkeepers, the story begins to lose some of its realism and it begins to lose some of its power. Sometimes at Christmas I might seem a little grumpy, particularly with some of our Christmas carols. But it isn't because I don't like Christmas. It's because I love Christmas. It's because the story of Christmas is incredibly important to me. I love it. It has shaped my whole life. And I want to tell this story as it is, as real as it was. I want people to know it and understand it and believe it for what it is. I don't want them to have some imaginary picture of something that never happened and never could happen. I want them to know and understand that the real story of God becoming human, coming down to save us, changes lives. It changes people's eternities. I wonder if it's changed yours.